Hey guys, my name's Dave and welcome to another Guitar Zero to Hero song tutorial. In this lesson, I'm going to teach you how to play Oh Holy Night in the key of G. Now, I'm going to teach you how to strum it, but I'm also going to teach you a nice and easy finger-picked method of playing it if you want to strip it back a little bit. Now, if you want to master your chords back to front, then be sure to head over to guitarzerotohero.com to pick up my free guitar ebook. Let's jump into the lesson. All right, so let's start with the easy strummed version. Now, this song is in 6/8 timing, so in terms of the rhythm, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the strumming pattern is going to replicate that. So our strumming pattern is a simple 6 down strums. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And what you can do is actually accent the 1 and the 4 beat. So if I'm playing a G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And by accent, I just mean you can play that particular strum louder, and that will help you keep time in the song as well. So for the intro, we just have this G chord played for 4 strumming patterns. So that's really, really nice and simple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, one thing to note is that when you're strumming, you don't need to strum all the strings of the chord. You can add some dynamic by adjusting how hard and how many of the strings of the chord you hit. So a lot of the time, I'm just focusing on the top 3 or 4 strings, and then on the accents, I strum more of the strings. So next we move on to the verse, and there's 4 lines of chords here. So we're going to start with the G for 2 strumming patterns, then we go to a C for 1 strumming pattern, and then back to the G. For the second line of chords, it's G for 2 strumming patterns, D for 1, and then back to G for 2 strumming patterns. The third line of chords is the same as the first line of chords, and then the fourth line of chords, we mix things up a little bit. So we're going to start with the G, but then we're going to go to F sharp minor. Now, to play this particular F sharp minor, it's easiest to just keep your ring finger where it is and slide that down 1 fret. Your middle finger comes onto the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, and your index finger hits the 2nd fret of the 6th string. Now, you just want to let the 6th, 3rd, and 2nd strings ring out. Everything else will be muted by your index finger just lying across it. So the 5th and 4th strings are muted. Now, those 2 chords are contained within the 1 strumming pattern, so they share 1 strumming pattern. So 3 strums on the G and then 3 strums on the F sharp minor. Now you can play a normal F sharp minor like this, but I think for the beginners out there, that transition might be a little bit easier. Then we have a B minor for 1 strumming pattern, then an F sharp major, so that's the same shape as this B minor, but just shift everything up 1 string, and then back to the B minor for 2 strumming patterns. So that's everything for the verse, and it'll sound like this. Now remember, it's a good idea to add those accents on the 1 and the 4 beat. That will help you keep time. So that's it for the verse. Next we get to the pre-chorus, which is really simple. It's just a D chord for 2 strumming patterns and then a G for 2 strumming patterns. So 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. And we repeat that through twice. So next we get to the chorus, and there's 6 lines of chords here. So E minor for 2 strumming patterns, B minor for 2 strumming patterns, then we have an A minor for 2 strumming patterns. Now from the B minor, you can just slide your middle ring and pinky finger down 2 frets to play this particular A minor, like that. And then we have E minor for 2 strumming patterns. Then we go G, D, G, C. For the next line of chords, it's G, D, and then G for 2 strumming patterns. And then for the 5th line of chords, it's D for 2 strumming patterns, G, and then C. Then for the 6th line of chords, we have a D sus4, so it's the same as a D, except you put your pinky finger on the 3rd fret of the 1st string. And then we go to a D, and then a G for 2 strumming patterns. So the chorus sounds like this in total, strummed. Okay, so now I'm going to teach you a nice and easy way that we can finger pick those chords if you want to sort of strip back this a little bit and make it a bit more of a mellow version. Now for our finger picking rules, our thumb will take care of the 6th, 5th and 4th strings, and our index, middle and ring finger will take care of the 3rd, 2nd and 1st strings respectively. Ideally, they shouldn't pluck any other strings other than the ones they've been assigned to. So let's start off with the intro/break, and again this is based off a G chord, but we're going to be a little lazier here and just play it like this. So you really only need the ring finger on the 3rd fret of the 6th string. Now our picking pattern's gonna go something like this. We're gonna hit the bass note, then we're gonna go 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 3rd and 4th string. So that picking pattern sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now one thing I want to add is that the rhythm is more important than the strings that you're actually hitting. Now what I mean by that is I could pluck this G chord in a different order. So I could just make up a random picking pattern. Like that. I just came up with that on the spot, but I was following the timing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the main important part, that you're always plucking a note of that chord on the beat. But to make things simple, we're going to just do a down up picking pattern. But I just wanted to add that as a note for you guys if you want to mix things up yourself. So we're going to play that 4 times for the intro. It sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Next we get to the verse. Now the chords are identical to the easy version that I just taught you. So for the first line of tab, we have 2 Gs for 2 picking patterns, and then we go to a C for 1 picking pattern. So for this C, we're going to use our bass note to start, and then the rest is the same as the G. So our bass note's down the 5th string. And then we go back to the G chord for 1 picking pattern. So the first line of tab. Now the second line of tab is that G for 2 picking patterns, and then we go to a D chord. Now we're going to shift our picking pattern, so it's 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st, 2nd, 3rd. Again, it doesn't matter the order of the strings you're hitting, as long as they're on the beat. But to make things simple, we're just going with a down up. And then we're going to go back to the G for 2 picking patterns. The third line of tab is identical to the first line of tab. Then for the fourth line of tab, we're going to start on this G. I'm going to mix things up a little bit here. We're going to pluck the bass note and then the 3rd and 2nd, and then go to this F sharp minor shape. So index on the 2nd fret of the 6th, ring and middle finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd and 2nd strings. And we're going to pluck bass note, 3rd and 2nd. So that first bar. And then we're going to go to a B minor, and we're going to play this for 1 picking pattern. And then we'll play an F sharp major chord, and we'll pluck this for 1 picking pattern. And then back to the B minor for 2 picking patterns. So the final line of tab. And in total, the verse sounds like this. And that's it for the verse. Next is the pre-chorus, which is really simple. There's one liner tab here. It's the D for 2 picking patterns, and then we play a normal G chord and we're plucking this for 2 picking patterns. So the pre-chorus. And that's just repeated through twice. And then we get to the chorus, and the chorus has 6 lines of tab here. And there's nothing really difficult about this. The chords are identical to the easy version I taught you, but we're just continuously playing that picking pattern. So for the first line of tab, it's E minor for 2 picking patterns, B minor for 2 picking patterns, and then we go down to an A minor for 2 picking patterns, and then an E minor again for 2 picking patterns. Third line of tab, we're going to a G for 1, D for 1, back to our G, and then C for 1 picking pattern. Fourth line of chords, it's G, then D, and then 2 G picking patterns. And then D for 2 picking patterns, G, and then C for 1 picking pattern. And then for the 6th line of chords, we have a D sus4 for 1 picking pattern, a D, and then our G for 2 picking patterns. So the chorus picked sounds like this. So now I'll be doing 2 playthroughs of this song. I'll be doing the strum version and I'll be doing a finger-picked version, so you can pick and choose which one you like best. A big thanks to my friend Eric for lending his awesome vocals to this playthrough. Feel free to play these back as many times as you'd like to practice, play along to, and see how you go. Thanks so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this lesson, then I know you'll absolutely love these other lessons too. So hit the link here. Or if you want to grab a copy of my free guitar ebook, then head over to guitarzerotohero.com or click the link here. Thanks so much, and I'll see you guys next time on Guitar Zero to Hero. Cheers.